So namo aloha. So today I want to talk about Saturn, which is in 29 degrees Pisces until February 13th, and then it turns into 0 degrees Aries. So this is a critical degree, and remember that Saturn in Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So it's also completing another cycle that started, almost 30 years ago. So I wanted to talk about this because February 13th is less than a week away. And Saturn's been really on me. I don't know about you, but I've been really feeling it through my body. And when I do these videos, I can't will them. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't, like third chakra it. Like I'm just going to do the video, just, suck it up and do it. It doesn't work like that for me. I actually have to go through a shift myself. And especially during retreats too. I go through a huge shift before the retreat. And this was, really coming through the body. So something shifted this morning during my sadhana, and then the clarity came. So you may relate to that. But look at where Saturn rules in your chart, like what house. So I'm a Leo rising, so Capricorn Saturn rules my 6th house in Capricorn. So that's the body. So it gets played out through the body. And my health. So, if it's 2nd house, it's going to come through your resources and your money and your sense of self-worth. If it's the 3rd house, it's going to be about your communication. It's going to be about your siblings or people in your life that you have sibling type relationships with. But anyway, check that out. Just Google it for house stuff. Okay. So Neptune has just left Pisces last week, right? And it moved into Aries, So basically the fog machine is lifted. It's been unplugged, right? There's a fog machine that was like pumping out the fog, and now it's unplugged. So the veil's dissolving. And we're seeing that out in the collective. For sure, the veil is definitely dropping. And the sedation is wearing off, and then Aries is turned on. So for 14 years, with Neptune and Pisces, it's been all about sedation. It's about spiritual morphine. It's about a dream state coping mechanism and fantasy. So basically, it's kept you asleep in one part of your life. So basically, so you would endure things that you would never choose if you were fully awake. So things like unequal partnerships, procrastination, giving your power away, or silencing yourself. The someday talks. Someday it will get better. Someday I'll do that. The cross of planning survival roles that we're leaving. This is the last year. 2027 is coming faster. So these roles that we played in the cross of planning for the last 400 years that we dressed up as destiny, right? So these were not our authentic selves. They're masks, right? They're masks. Right? So the roles with the cross of planning are the jobs that we took to pay the bills, the relationships that we stayed in for security, the beliefs that we inherited that we didn't question because it would have been too disruptive to our life. For the last 14 years, Neptune in Pisces has been the ultimate enabler of all of this. So it's been the drug that kept these survival identities as, they're spiritual. Neptune spiritualizes fake, right? Fake spiritualization or true authentic. But there's the fog. So basically, I'll do this soul crushing job because I have to pay my bills. I've got no choice, right? That's the shadow of of Pisces, its victim. This loveless marriage is a karmic contract, and it's for my soul's growth. My duty is to my family. That's my highest spiritual path. And Neptune basically draped the chains, because we're chained to this system across the planning in velvet, and then called it, oh, this is a sacred shawl, right? It's the gilded cage. So it kept us plugged into the matrix, but made the matrix feel like a divine mission. So Neptune moved into Aries last Monday. The spell has started to break. So Aries isn't reflective, right? Aries is not reflective. Aries is shoot and ask questions later. Shoot first, ask questions later, metaphorically speaking. Aries is not patient. And Aries doesn't interpret experience like Pisces does. So Aries asks these kinds of questions like, what am I doing? How am I living my life? So ignition, because Aries is turning the key, the ignition key, this means that you may feel irritation. Maybe you started to feel irritation or anger, frustration, a sense of urgency, restlessness, maybe physical heat, an intolerance for bullshit. Maybe that's coming, like no patience, zero patience. So not because you're going spiritually backwards, you're not regressing, but because the numbing has stopped. That's what Neptune does. It numbs. So if Pisces was like, I'll survive this, somehow I'm going to survive this. And Aries is like, I can't keep doing this one more day. No, not one more day. I can do this. So this if we go back to Saturn in the 29th degree, right, for the next Friday the 13th, not very many days left, is Saturn says you don't get to act from fantasy anymore. No more. It's the auditor. Saturn is coming in as the auditor. And gate 25.2, you can see that right there, 25.2, and it's off the G center here, right? This says to act without an agenda, to act without trying to build up an identity, to act without playing a role. So ignition and Saturn look like movement. You move without creating a story about it. You act without defending yourself. You take action without defending yourself. You become honest, brutally honest with yourself. You in separation without, if you separate, a lot of you will be separating from something, someone, something, some situation. You separate, but without making someone else the villain. You're not lobbing bombs. I laughed, and now I'm lobbing bombs. And I'm villainizing this person or this situation, right? So this is doing things. What's correct? The correct way to use this energy is you're doing things before you can explain them. You're quitting, you're ending, you're relocating, you're simplifying, and only later will you understand why. And that this is Neptune in Aries. Clarity comes after you take the action. Clarity comes not before. So ignition turned on means your nervous system, your body takes over as your authority before your mind, right? We're getting primed up for this new cross of the sleeping phoenix energy, right? So your nervous system and your body take over as your authority. Your body is your oracle. And so this is preparing you for the individuation, right? The individuation process that you're in to align yourself with this new sleeping phoenix frequency. So your action is rooted in your being, in your inner being. That's where your action comes from, not from the mind and strategy, That's the old way. And certainly not from the identity that you've been playing, right? So we'll go into this identity in the last 14 years. So Saturn in the 29 degrees Pisces is very karmic. And what Saturn is bringing the receipts, right? You can't lie to yourself anymore. Saturn is right here. It's sobering you up. You're getting the big coffee. The lights are on. It's like, look how you've been living your life. And Saturn says you can't spiritually bypass anymore, right? Get off that fake unicorn that you've been riding and put away the fairy dust that you've been throwing around, right? It's not real. Saturn is very sobering. So now, it's moving through the 25th gate, line 2 in human design. And both are heading, Saturn and Neptune. You can see they're both in the same gate, but they're different lines. But on February 20th, they will be exactly 0 degrees Aries, and it will be 25.3. So Saturn will catch up to Neptune, and it'll be the third line. But that's another video. So this is about a hard reset of how you use your will, your third chakra energy, how you use your energy, your personal will, and it's about innocence, and it's about initiation. Okay? So, the last thing not the last thing, the thing that I want to talk about is, okay, that's another one. The Sleeping Muse. The Sleeping Muse. I like to work with archetypes. The Sleeping Muse. So this was the last 14 years. Last 14 years. We're talking 2011, right? 2011, 12. In terms of your relationships, right? So this is the Sleeping Muse, the Sleeping Muse. And this is living your life vicariously through someone else, right? In terms of your creativity. It's like outsourcing your creativity. Well, he's the artist, right? He's the creative one. So this would be creativity. This is the Neptune fog, that your creativity was present, but it wasn't expressed. It was beauty without expression. Neptune is very beautiful, right? It rules beauty. It rules beauty, but it's also dangerous because you can't really see clearly. So this was postponing your life, right? Basically for the last 14 years, postponing your life. And so your creativity didn't die. It just went to sleep. It went to sleep. So the Neptune sedation was you weren't blind, right? You weren't blind. You were filtered. You were filtered. You were seen, but you weren't seeing clearly. You were safe, but distant. So it was like having this veil over your eyes and your face. It's like you could see, but you couldn't see clearly. You were safe, but you felt very distant from your life. So in terms of your relationship, right? So you can interchange creativity with power, right? That this wasn't love. In terms of your relationships, it was sedation, right? So you didn't disappear. You went numb. You went numb to survive. So under Neptune and Pisces, the ego quietly rewrites love into a sedation, like a hypnosis, right? I don't need to express myself. I don't need to express from my authentic self. I don't need to be seen. I don't need to create. Right? Sleeping Phoenix is a very creative time. We have to be in touch with our creative. We're creative beings, and we've outsourced that. So this is what you've done, right? And this is, I don't need balance. I don't need the equal give and take. I don't even consider my future, right? This is what the ego does, the hypnosis. Because being loved and chosen, right? Chosen by someone that the ego sees as special, right? They're special. I'm putting them on a pedestal. Well, they chose me, right? That's like I won the prize. They want me. They chose me, right? This person that has all this power, or that I perceive, that's the veil as being powerful. So this could be a substitute. The ego said it's a substitute. That's enough. It's enough to be chosen by somebody who's special, right? So this is a substitute for having a voice. I don't need a voice. That person chose me. I don't need my own voice. Having a direction in life, having eros, a sense of eros, having a life that expands, growing and developing on your spiritual journey. I don't need that, right? So this is love as sedation. It's sedation. That's the kind of love it's sedation, and it's not real. So boundaries quickly fell away. And Neptune isn't like dramatic, like, oh, suddenly I wake up one day and all my boundaries are gone. It's subtle. It dissolves, right? Quietly over time. So this is where your creative voice got postponed. Your creative voice got postponed. Your desires got softened, right? Your needs got reframed as ego. Well, you're just being selfish. You're asking for too much. You're too intense. Your expression got delayed until the timing was right. Right? We can't talk about this right now. This isn't a good time for me. Maybe we could talk about this next week. And it was always like next week, next month, when this future, right? And the ego said, well, this is spiritual maturity. This is what it means to be in a mature relationships. But Saturn now says, Saturn comes in with the receipts, the coffee and the lights are on, and saying now, no, this relationship was not spiritually mature. It was self-abandonment. You were betraying yourself. You abandoned your true self for this relationship. Right? So what was the cost here? The cost, when you say this, like, well, it's enough that he loves me. It's enough that he's chosen me, right? What's often underneath this, right, is I won't disrupt the bond. I won't disrupt the bond. I won't ask for more. I won't risk losing love by becoming fully myself. So this is your eros, your sexual desire, your creativity, your expression gets put on mute, right? To preserve the fantasy, to preserve this fantasy. And that's the Neptune fog. Not lies, it's just putting off the truth. So I'm using an example to ground this, right? So just reflect on that. I'm going to get you to do a few exercises later in the video that you can do, CTAs, but just where you've been in fog, where you've been in this confusion, right? Okay, and you probably know now, because now Neptune left and Saturn's right on you, thumb on the head for you to look at this. So why Saturn is ruthless here at 29 degrees Pisces, and it's asking one devastating question, and it's, what did this love cost you? What did this love, and I put in air quotes, cost you? And if the answer is, well, it cost me my voice, and cost me my art, my creativity, it cost me my joy, my expansion, my individuation. Maybe it cost you your motherhood. Maybe you're someone that wanted to have a child and this person didn't, or led you on, right? It cost you maybe some of the best years of your life, your reproductive years, right? So Saturn doesn't negotiate, right? It simply declares that wasn't love. That was self-abandonment. It was self-abandonment. So now the spiritual morphine, right, is wearing off. It's wearing off. This is where the sedation ends with Saturn, right? And the feeling's not relief. It's not a relief, right? So the voice comes back online. Your voice comes back online, right? It's being resurrected now, and it's screaming. It's screaming. The creativity that was sleeping wakes up. It wakes up, raging, right? Because it's been suppressed for so long. And your grief floods in for the years that you remain silent, right? You silenced your own voice. And it can feel like a death, but it's not a death. It's a resurrection. It's a resurrection. And it's the pain of the blood. You know, even the blood returning to a limb that's been asleep for 14 years, or even subtly, you know, when your leg goes to sleep and then you get up, right? And then the blood's return. It's painful. So this is what this is. It's painful as your creativity returns. So this is where the power of the 25th gate, right? Which is true innocence. So the false innocence of Neptune taught you, well, love requires you to shrink. Love requires you to dim yourself. Love requires you to silence yourself, right? It asks you to not have boundaries. Neptune is like, don't have any boundaries because you have to keep this fantasy alive, right? So the true innocence of gate 25 is a shield, right? It's a shield. It's the warrior's innocence. It says that my creativity, my voice, my expression are non-negotiable. My authenticity is non-negotiable. They're a direct extension of my being. It's who I am, right? So love that asks me to shrink, right? Because I've learned this lesson the hard way the last 14 years. Any love now that asks me to shrink, it's not love, it's a cage. It's a cage, it's not real. So the moment hurts, right? Because one of the greatest pains that we can experience as a human is what I thought was true isn't true, right? That can create a lot of grief that comes up in the human. And it's hurt. It can hurt. So as pattern, but it's freeing, right? It's the painful medicine, right, that you're taking that's bitter at first, but it's healing. It's healing because it's true. That's what heals is truth. So as pattern prepares to leave and move into Aries on February 13th, it's handing you a sword. Saturn is saying, here's the sword. And it's not a sword for battle and fighting. It's a sword for truth. It's a sword for truth. It's the power to say, I don't have to give up myself to be loved anymore. I don't have to give up myself to be loved anymore. Right? So your power right now, if you're going through this, is grief. That's your power right here. It can be in the anger. It can be in the grief. It's the rediscovery of your creative fire. Your creative fire. But you have to feel the grief and the anger before you get to this. So for 14 years, you were trying to create a beautiful pattern around a lie, whatever that lie was. You were trying to create beauty around this lie, and now the lie is gone. You've seen it. Saturn will ensure that you see the lie because the fog is lifted. So you can feel the chaos. Maybe you can feel the chaos now, but you're also going to feel the truth. Right? So your task right now is not to please other people, and it's not to prove your worth or to heal your past. Your task is to create. That's your task, is to create, because it's who you are. Because it's who you are. This is what this 25th gate is saying. So this is the individuation for the cross of the sleeping phoenix that we've been talking about. Individuation means that everything that's not self has to dissolve, that has to fall away. This is part of the falling away process. So this is ground zero, right? Ground zero is individuation. So this is you standing up from the wreckage of the fantasy and choosing to express your own truth, right? No matter what the cost. And by doing this, you change the frequency around you. So what you're doing is you're broadcasting your signal of life, not sedation, right? So you're coming back online. And you're becoming a free-range human. You want to be a free-range human in a world of cages. And this is how we change the world, right? So I want to go into innocence, because this 25th gate, there's a lot of ways to explore this, but I want to look at this, right? So innocence, the 25th gate. It's the city of universal love. Okay. So there you are, coming out of the flames, right? Of the Neptune fog, the sedation. So in terms of innocence, right? Innocence, that we've had a systematic attack on innocence. And you can see this, our conditioning. So there's been a multi-generational attack on our innocence. Your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. It's all about the cross of planning. And it's done by redefining what innocence really means. The definition of innocence, right? So the system, the cross of planning, the corporate, political, social, however you want to define education, can't control a truly innocent person. They can't control a truly innocent person. It can only control people who have been shamed out of their innocence. They've been shamed out of their innocence. So the conditioning is we're taught that innocence is a flaw. It's a weakness that we have to overcome. We're taught that innocence is naivete, right? You're a sucker, right? You're a sucker who believes in everything, anything. People can walk all over you, exploit you. You're gullible, right? You're easily manipulated. You lack any kind of discernment. You're foolish, right? You're impractical. You're out of touch with the real world. You have to be in touch with the real world, right? Reality. You're immature, right? You're a child who hasn't learned the harsh rules of life. This is the psyop, right? This is the total psyop. It's the upside down world. The system needs us, right? The cross of planning needs us to believe, to be smart, intelligent, mature, successful. Don't even want to say intelligent, like knowledgeable, having a lot of details in your head. That we must become cynical, guarded, and strategic. The system needs us to believe that, and we should be ashamed to be innocent, right? We should have shame if we're innocent. We must build a fortress of knowledge around our hearts to protect ourselves from the hostile world. So this fortress is the survival identity of the cross of planning. It's the armor that we wear, that we confuse. We think that's our true self. We mistake this for our true self, this armor that we wear, right? With the innocence. So innocence and authenticity, they're the same thing. Authenticity is the unwavering commitment to be exactly who you are in any given moment, in any given circumstance, without apology or performance. It's the internal you that comes before the external should. So it's the internal you that comes before the external should. So innocence is pre-strategy, it's pre-manipulation, it's the self-conscious version of you, right? It's the state of now without an agenda. That's what the 25 line 2 talks about. So just think about it. Right? You can't be authentic while at the same time trying to manage how somebody else perceives you. You can't do that, right? No. Can you truly be authentic while calculating the best strategic response? Right? These are the politicians. They hold the archetype of this, right? What should I say? What do they want to hear? That's inauthentic. It's inauthentic. The moment you engage with this kind of calculation, you've left your authenticity, right? And you've entered into a survival identity. What do I need to say in order to survive? You're in your ego. And there's no power there. So innocence is your default. It's who you are. It's the factory state, right? The factory setting. The state of your being is innocence. And authenticity is the conscious choice to return to this innocent state over and over and over again. Right? So it has nothing to do with being gullible and all those other things that I talked about and that we're conditioned to believe. Right? Our innocence is very powerful. So just think about like a child, right? And maybe you think of yourself as a child when the child says, I don't like that. Right? Grandma's feeding you the potatoes. I don't like that. Well, what are they doing? They're being innocent and authentic, right? They're not trying to be rude. A child isn't trying to be rude. They're simply reporting their own inner reality. This is what's true. That's the innocence, right? So we've been conditioned our whole lives to be focused on others and conditioned out of that directness, the directness of the child. We learn to say, oh, thank you for this. Isn't it nice? While your inner child is like screaming, I hate it, right? So this is the fragmentation of not self is taken over, right? And your authentic self is like pushed into the basement. Your innocence is pushed to the basement. So the power of your innocence, right? This is the revolution. This is the revolution. So stick with me and I'll tell you why. This is the power of your innocence is the revolution. So it's not passive. It's radical world changing, your innocence. So the system tells you, the cross the planning system tells you that cynicism, to be cynical, is discernment, and that's a lie. Cynicism is just a fear-based filter that projects the pain from the past onto the present moment. That's what cynicism is. It's like to protect you for something repeating again. True discernment comes from your innocence. An innocent person is not a gullible person. An innocent person is so deeply connected to their inner truth, their G center, their self, that they can feel inauthenticity in others and situations instantly. They don't need to analyze it. They don't need to do the pros and cons list. They feel it in their bones. Innocence, right? The innocence, this 25th gate. They're so deeply connected to their own inner truth. So the 25th gate of innocence is a shield of protection because it can see through the illusion without engaging in it. It doesn't fight the lie. It just doesn't resonate with it. I don't resonate with this, right? And here's a hot tip too. If you're aligned with your authenticity, there's a great power in that, right? Because when you come face to face with an inauthentic person, you can feel it. You can feel it in your being. It's like, I'm not resonating with that person because they're not in their authenticity. They're in their not self. It's like energetically, there's just a repulsion. There's a repulsion. It's not personal. You couldn't give reasons. Well, I don't resonate with them because they like this kind of music and I like that kind of music. No, it's energy. It's frequency. And it's so quick and efficient, right? The we'll go back here. So it's the source of your true power. It's the source of your true power. So the ego's power is like a dam, right? That's the ego's power. It's tense, right? It's defensive, it's fortified, it's walls, and it's constantly under pressure. The ego is constantly under pressure. And the ego says, I am the power. I'm powerful. I am the power. The power of innocence is like the power of a river. It's fluid, it's unstoppable, and it moves without effort. It's the power of the 25th gate saying the power exists. Right? Power just exists. And when you act from a place of innocent authenticity, you're not trying to be powerful. You simply are. You simply are, and you're aligned with the power, right, of the river. So your actions have an impact because they're pure, right? They're pure and they're unconflicted. There's no conflict inside. And so there's no wasted energy on doubting yourself. There's no wasted energy on putting a dog and pony show on for people trying to manage their perception of you, right? So it's very powerful. You let the power of the river just flow, right? That's the universal love. That's the city of the 25. And then it's the antidote to control. It's the antidote to control. So the whole matrix of the cross of planning is built on a foundation of fear and control. Fear and control. So it runs on our conditioned trauma as a humanity and our desperate attempts to secure ourselves, to feel safe and secure. So innocence runs on a totally different system, right? And trust, right? Innocence runs on trust. So not trust in another system or a person, but trust in the divine unfolding of your unique path. So when you operate from that place of surrendered trust, you're energetically untouchable. You can't be manipulated by fear because you're not afraid of the outcome. You can't be controlled by shame because you're not trying to manage someone else's perception of you. You're not looking for approval. Your innocence makes you a sovereign entity. And that's the cross of the sleeping phoenix energy. You're a sovereign entity unto yourself. Right? So with Saturn moving through the 25th gate, it's leading you back to your power, It's forcing you to see the armor that you built to protect yourself is to protect your innocence. Like, I don't want to get hurt again. I'm protecting my innocence with this armor. It's the very thing that's suffocating it now, right? So the karmic drain is the energy that it takes to maintain this false self. Right? So if you're exhausted, it takes a lot of energy to hold up the not self now, right? Because it's not real. So the liberation is in taking the armor off, and having a deep trust in your own being, listening to your intuition, obeying your intuition, right? Taking action. So the most rebellious, powerful thing you can do in this world is to be innocent, right? Is to be a living, breathing testament to a truth that the system can't control. They can't control the person who's connected to their innocence, and this is why they're trying to just destroy it, right? Destroy the innocence, and this is what all the child... You know what I'm talking about is about, right? It's to impose that shame on the innocent, right? On the innocent. So this is to be your authentic self. When you're a free-range human, you cannot be controlled. You cannot be put in a box. You're not susceptible to the pull and the waxing and waning of this system. This is the power of the sleeping phoenix ready to be born within you, right? Now, I wanted to talk about this. I shared this on the last day of the retreat, of my last retreat. Maybe you've heard of her, Veda Austin. Put it in the comments if you have. So, her work, Dr. Emoto, he's been around for a long time, but she's really takes this further, the studying water. So basically, she shows that when you expose water to a specific stimuli, like a word, like love or a piece of music or a photograph, or even a focused thought by someone thousands of miles away, then she freezes it, and the water forms into intricate, beautiful, complex patterns, what that she calls hieroglyphs. So it basically it's like an artistic interpretation. The water is artistically interpreting, right, what was sent to it. So the water is literally communicating, and it's showing us what it's felt. Right, so she did this experiment with two eggs here, right, with different kinds of eggs. So there were one free range, right, the free range happy chickens living a natural life, and the water inside that egg, the albumin, froze into these beautiful feathery. Almost like flowers, if you look at it closely, they're almost like flowers, right? Patterns. And so it was a picture of vitality and harmony. And the other egg was caged chickens, right? So this is a life of stress, artificial light, fear, right? The water froze in that egg, and then GMO food too that they're fed. Right, and if you look at this egg, the difference with this egg, this is discord. It's chaos. There's no harmony really here, and ugliness. Basically, it was a picture of the life that these chickens were living. Right, so the water is telling the truth. So, with the body. With your body over 70% water, and the planet is over 70% water too, the water is responsive. And if it's this honest, the water is this honest, right? Can you imagine what it's doing to us, right? What information all day long. So what information are you transmitting to the water of your own cells, and to the water in the person next to you, or to the oceans and the rivers of the world, right? So this brings us back to innocence, right? To our innocence. Just wanted to check this here. The other thing I wanted to mention too is that she took a free-range chicken, that's the egg, right? The brown egg, happy chickens, and then surrounded it by 12 caged eggs, right? And then she froze them and looked at them, and get this, the 12 caged eggs started to look like the happy chicken egg, right? With these beautiful crystalline patterns. So the frequency of that egg impacted all the other eggs. So this is the power of the individual, right? This is the power of the individual. When you are in resonance, you're in resonance. So the corruption that we see in the world right now, we're seeing all the corruption. This is all part of the Great Awakening. The dirty, rotten, horrific shadows are starting to come into the surface, right? The surface, we can all see it now. This is the result of caged, fearful, discordant water, right? It's the expression of the collective consciousness that's been fed a diet of fear, manipulation, and separation. So it's the frozen pattern of the survival identity of the cross of planning, right? So the leaders and the systems that are failing are just the macrocosmic reflection of this caged egg, right? So they're powerful because we've given them our power. We've given them our power. So here we are. This is our divine right to be happy chicken, right? Free range human. But we've given our power to these cages, So your innocence isn't naivete, right? Naivete, it's your unfiltered, uncensored, unashamed truth. It's the state of being where your thoughts, your feelings, and your intentions are in harmony with who you truly are. And when you operate from that place, your innocent authenticity, you're broadcasting a signal of pure, free range, right? Free range, vibrant, life-giving information into the global system, into the field. So you're not just one person. You're a walking, talking body of water that has the power to transmit harmony. So your joy, your love, your radical self-acceptance, these aren't just fleeting emotions. They're the frequency that are restructuring the water around you, And this is the antidote to chaos. So the system wants you to believe you're just a caged egg. You have no power. It wants you to be cynical. The system wants you to be cynical. It wants you to be fearful and fighting and divided, because this is what makes the water chaotic and it's easy to control, right? But the truth is you were born as a happy chicken. So your natural state is beautiful, feathery like this, right? And a crystalline pattern of divine harmony, right? So this is delusionment. If you're feeling disillusioned with the world, it's a gift, because what does it mean? It means the fog is lifting. You can see the fog is lifting for all of humanity, just what we're seeing out in the world. And so this is when we stop looking to the caged chickens, right? Lead me. Are you going to go, if you're a free range happy chicken, and go into the cages and, can you lead me and tell me what to do? No, right? So you see that you have the power, right, to change the world is found within your own body right now, in your innocence, claiming your innocence. So justice, because that's also up too. Where's the justice? It isn't about punishing the corrupt. Justice is about changing your frequency, right? And it's about deciding to cultivate your own inner harmony and to stand in your authentic truth. That's number one. You have to be in resonance first. Before Neptune and Saturn come into 0 degrees Aries, where it's about action, right? You have to be in resonance. You have to be connected to your authenticity, to your innocence, and then you take action from that place. If you take action from like, I'm angry and there needs to be justice and blah, 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 you're just feeding the system with that same consciousness and there's no change, right? Because you're anger and fear. You have to be in resonance, and then your actions will be correct, right? Will be correct. Okay. So all the discordant energy, with this experiment, with all this discordant energy that we're surrounded by, the light wins. The light wins when you're connected to your innocence, which is your superpower, your authenticity, which is your superpower. Then this can't hold form anymore. You see, this discordant energy can't hold form anymore. The structures can't hold. They simply dissolve in the presence of a higher, more coherent truth. But it starts with you, right? So your innocence is your power, your authenticity is your activism, and the state of your water is your contribution to the world. So you want to change your water, you change the world, right? And I'm not saying that you don't do anything, but you make sure that you are aligned and then you take action. And you'll be guided, not with your mind, but with your soul and your being, what your action is, what your contribution is to this world, right? Okay, so let's do a what to do, right? So there you are in your light, right? And you're just emanating that into the field. And then you take action from this place. Okay. So you want to simplify everything. So what to do until the 13th? Because we're in a critical moment right now with Saturn in the 29th degree. Right? Is simplify everything. You want to reclaim your own space. And how do you do that? Well, you do a karmic audit. Right? A karmic audit. So this is Saturn. This is Saturn looking at the books, right? I need to look at your books. So it's not a emotional exercise, it's forensics, right? I'm detached. I'm not emotionally invested in this. This is not about blaming and getting angry and stuff. This is just like soberly looking at the facts. So you want to get a journal and you want to do 2 columns and you want to go do fantasy and then receipts. So fantasy on one side and receipts on the other. And in the fantasy column, you want to write the promises of the Neptune in Pisces, right? So the mantras, what have you been telling yourself? What have been the Neptunian mantras? Well, he loves me and that's enough. He's under a lot of stress. I'll wait to talk about this. He had a tough childhood, so it's okay that he doesn't really listen to what I have to say. I'll listen to him and give him what his mother never gave him, right? Like things like that. Whatever it is for you, the mantras that you said to yourself. Our connection transcends worldly problems. My art, my will, my voice will be expressed when someday when the time is right. Time's not right now. Right? So this is the fantasy. So you want to write that down and then you want to write out the receipt. So for each fantasy that you have, you want to write out the karmic cost of that. And you want to be specific. Well, what did that cost me? 5 years of not painting, not writing music, not creatively expressing myself. It cost me the ability to trust my own intuition. It cost me my relationships with my family and maybe some really good friends because I isolated myself for the relationship. I got caught up in his friendship circle, right? I lost track of my friends and family. It cost me my financial independence. Like I'm in a hole now because I was dependent on him for money, right? It cost me the joy of just creating for myself, right? So this isn't about shaming yourself. It's not about building a case against the partner. This is doing it to see the pattern. You want to see the pattern. So you're the detective, right? And the goal here is cold, hard clarity. Emotion will be there, but your task is to really see the data. And this is how you earn your power back. Not through rage, but just soberly looking at what this cost you, what it cost you. So whatever the case is, right? I'm using just specifics to ground it. The innocence retrieval, right? So this is looking back. You want to find a quiet place and you want to close your eyes and you want to mentally travel back to a time before the 14-year cycle, right? Began. A time maybe where your creative joy was simple, unpolished, and it was just for you. Maybe you were scribbling in a notebook. Maybe you were dancing in your room. Maybe you were singing off key or taking photos just for fun. Right? So the task there is don't try to relive it, simply witness it and observe that version of yourself pre-Neptune, right? And what did your creative energy feel like then, right? Notice how it was free from the burden of needing to be good or successful or approved of. It just was, right? So what you're doing is you're identifying the frequency of your own innocence, your own sovereign creative force, so that you can recognize it when it returns. So you're remembering yourself as a free-range happy chicken, right? So this is about reclaiming your own space, right? The next thing is the sacred no. The sacred no is just little things like I'm not going to check my phone for the first hour of the day. The first hour of the day is just me. That's my first sacred no. I'll take a 15-minute walk alone with no phone, no destination. I'll cook a meal that only I want to eat. I'm not thinking of my partner and other people. It's what I want to eat. I'll not engage in a conversation that feels draining, right? And I will say I don't have the energy for that right now. So every time you do the sacred no, it's a brick. This is Saturn. Each sacred no that you say, you're building a brick, right? And this is the new structure that Saturn wants you to build. And it's the practice of action, your innocent action, right? You're not doing it to get a reaction or prove a point. You're doing it because this is your new reality, and it's the declaration of sovereignty over just your daily life. So the payoff here when Saturn comes into Aries is your action becomes clean, right? It replaces endurance, like somehow I'm going to survive this. It's going to get better. And your courage replaces sacrifice. Neptune and Pisces required a lot of sacrifice from you. And your innocence becomes initiation. It's not vulnerability. Your innocence is initiation. But only if the final Piscean shedding is honored. So this is what you're doing this week. You're honoring the final Piscean shedding, right? And if you don't do this, when it goes into Aries, it's going to be anger, it's going to be reaction, it's going to be ego wars, crusading, right? And you're not there for this. So take a moment, like rewind and write a few things, maybe like some insights come that, oh, that makes me think of, well, this is something I could do, right? But just take a moment this week to honor the final shedding of Pisces for you. Okay, so let's look at the tarot, 5830 for the fractal read. So this is for Saturn in the 25th gate, line 2. So what fantasy, and you know if you're on my fractal, because you like the sound of my voice, you resonate with my message. That's a good sign. And if you don't like the sound of my voice, you probably hightailed it long ago, then you're not on my fractal. And I don't take it personally, you're for someone else. Okay, so let's look at this. So what fantasy is Saturn asking my fractal to see and release? King of Wands, Judgment reversed. So the King of Wands in this position is the archetype of the charismatic, confident, passionate, visionary, creative powerhouse. He's the muse, he's the lover, he's the leader who inspires you with fire. Right? That's the positive. But the shadow, because it's in the shadow, because you're releasing this, is because it's with the judgment reversed. This is the failure of awakening, the failure of awakening. This is the fantasy of the damaged king, right? King of Wands here. So this is, you didn't fall in love with a man. You fell in love with the potential of a king, right? You saw the potential in him when you met him. You didn't see him as he truly is. So you believed his fire was divine, untamable force, that you were chosen. He chose you, that you had to tend to his fire. So with the King of Wands here, this is inspiration without follow through. The King of Wands is, I'm all talk. I talk such a good talk. I don't take any action. It's like circling over and over and over and over. All talk, no action, no follow through. Leadership with any accountability. Like, don't question me, just do what I say, right? False confidence without embodiment. He has no lived experience. He's just false, confident, arrogant. I would even go as far as arrogant. The judgment reverse says that you completely misjudged him in the situation. And so you thought your purpose, this is the Neptunian fog, you thought your purpose was to nurture his wounded genius, to be the one who could finally help him answer his true calling, to be the man that you thought he could be, his potential. And so the lie wasn't he loves me. The lie was, I'm the savior. Here's the lie, get this. I'm the savior of this brilliant, broken king, and in saving him, I will fulfill my own creative destiny. Right? That's the Neptunian fog. So you put your wand, right? You put your wand, your creative power in the closet, waiting for the day that he would finally pick up his own, right? And to be this king that you saw him as. So your entire creative expression became secondary to his creativity. You put yours on hold, right? This is you putting him on a pedestal. So this is the ultimate Neptune and Pisces sedation, sacrificing your own throne to serve a false king who has no intention of growing up. He has no intention to grow up here. And you left your throne. So the illusion wasn't love. It was waiting for someone else to wake up so that life could finally begin for you. So the fantasy was, if I just stay patient, if I stay supportive, eventually the call will land and he'll grow up. He'll finally rise. And Saturn says his awakening, his changing, his evolution was never your job. Never your job. Right? So take this, and maybe you need to okay, that's the same kind of energy, but the details aren't, right? Like, just morph it into what it means for you, right? In your life in these last 14 years. Okay. And then what pattern, here's the cost. What did this pattern cost you? Your body, your creativity, your life force. What did it cost you? The moon. The moon is deep illusion, fear, anxiety, and it's navigating the subconscious underworld. It's the realm of Pisces itself. So the cost is not a tangible thing like money. Maybe it was, but it's not really. We're going deep here. It's not a tangible thing like money per se. It goes far, far deeper. So the cost is your sanity. The cost was your sanity. The cost was your connection to reality. For 14 years, you've been living in this state of the veiled, right? The veiled muse. You've been in a perpetual twilight. And so you've been walking through the landscape of shadows. The moon you can't see, right? You've been walking through a landscape of shadows where nothing seems what it is, right? The moon card can represent the psychic toll of trying to build a life on a foundation of fantasy. It's like trying to build a house on shifting sands. It has cost you your ability to trust your own perceptions. You've lost the ability to trust your own perceptions. Right? This is like, is he lying to me? Or is he telling me the truth? Is he lying this time? Is he going to follow through on his words this time? Is this my intuition, or is it just my fear? Right? Is this love? Does he really love me when he says this, or is he trying to manipulate me? So the moon card says that you've been in this endless loop of self-doubt and confusion, and you've lost your inner compass, right? So it's created this high alert anxiety within you that's been running in the background 24/7. It's been draining your life force energy. It's been exhausting your nervous system, and it's keeping you from ever feeling safe. You don't feel safe. You never felt safe or grounded. So your entire reality has been like a hall of mirrors. This is what the cost has been. And the cost is profound exhaustion that comes from having no solid ground to stand on. So the moon here is saying that you learned to live without solid ground. You adapted to ambiguity. You normalized not knowing where you stood in this relationship. And your nervous system learned to survive in getting half-truths, not the full truth. So this is why your body's exhausted now, because it's been navigating by moonlight for years and years, right? So then this one, temperance reversed. So what's the most, with the 25th gate, right? What's the most correct, innocent action that you must take next? So temperance, right? If it's upright, it's it's alchemy, it's patience, it's blending, it's perfect equilibrium. Right? It's about finding the middle way and allowing things to synthesize over time. It's the alchemy card. That's how I look at it. Equilibrium. Why do I find it hard to say that word? So temperance reversed is the radical jarring stop. It's the stop card. So this clean action is not to try and find balance. It's not about you trying to find balance. It's not trying to fix the mixture. The clean action is to stop pouring, put the cups down, stop pouring, trying to make this work. Right? So this is like temperance upright is the angel, carefully pouring the two cups back and forth. And temperance reversed is you throwing those cups on the ground. It's the realization that the two things that you were trying to blend, your reality and his fantasy, cannot be combined. It's an impossible alchemy. It's not going to work. So the innocent action without agenda, the 25th gate, is stop trying to be the bridge between your world and his world, and stop trying to find the perfect way to communicate that will make him understand, and stop trying to sacrifice your own fire and passion to keep the peace. That's the temperance card. So the clean action is complete. It's a total ending of your efforts to stop the efforting, right? To try to harmonize this unbalanced situation. It's not going to come into balance. That's what this card is saying. So it's the act of radical separation, right? It's not a strategy. It's just physics. It's energy-based reality. Fire and fog can't coexist. So you have to choose, right? You've got to choose your own element, which is to choose your fire, not his fog. Okay. And the ego card here is expectations, right? So this is what ego has been dissolved through these last 14 years. And this is the ego of expectation, right? So this is the expectation. If I'm patient, if I love him enough, if I surrender my own creative fire, then this would produce a specific outcome, right? Maybe my happiness and fulfillment. So this expectation that you held the vision long enough, he would change. He would change. The expectation that your devotion would be rewarded with the relationship that you were promised at the beginning, right? So the expectation that the universe would eventually deliver the judgment, the awakening. Right? And your sacrifice would have been proven worthy. Look, I sacrificed and now he's come through, right? And Neptune in Pisces dissolved this ego of expectation through 14 years of disappointment. 14 years of disappointment. And every time the expectation wasn't met, a piece of that ego got chipped away, right? Every time, and this process was excruciating, but its purpose was to burn away the part of you that attaches your actions to a desired result. If I do this, then I'll get that. That's cross the planning stuff. So what's left now that the ego is gone, this ego of expectation, the raw material for the true 25th gate, right, can come online of innocence, and an innocence that can act without agenda, right? Because this ego needed an agenda and had expectations, right? So this has been slowly dissolving over the 14 years. So the pain was the fire here. Okay. Let me know if you can relate to that. And 111, ready for, where's the twin flame? The twin flames on my fractal, on the twin flame journey. Okay. The mirror, because that's what twin flames are. They're mirrors, powerful mirrors for one another. For the shadow and the light. You're never going to get a better mirror than your twin flame. Okay. So the mirror is the Five of Wands. That's the mirror. So this is about an internal war. It's also a war of circumstances and timing, meeting your twin flame in the wrong time and the wrong circumstances. So this mirror is showing you the futility and the chaos of the separation dynamic, right? One is doing the internal work, the spiritual growth, and it's clashing with the other one who's choosing to stay in a karmic situation. So this is the frustration, right? It's the energy, the energetic battle there, where one's trying to move forward while the other one is standing still or trying to move backwards. So the core lesson is that this external conflict, maybe you're experiencing this in the twin flame connection, the separation, the karmic partner, the not yet timing, is the perfect reflection of your own internal battle, right? Between readiness and resistance. So remember, this is the mirror. So this is being mirrored back to you. So you're doing the work, right? Maybe you're doing the work, but part of you is still engaged in the fight of the situation, and you're fighting the reality of the separation, fighting the injustice of it, fighting your own longing. Why won't this just go away? The Five of Wands shows you that as long as you're in this state of an energetic battle with what is, the reality of what is, you are contributing to the chaos. Even if it looks like, well, I'm the good guy, right? I'm the good one in this situation. The mirror is asking you to stop fighting the reflection, that's being mirrored back to you through the twin flame, and then go to the source. What's the source of struggle within myself? Right? It's reflecting back my own inner conflict here. Okay. And then what illusion, right? What illusion, attachment, or survival pattern has kept this connection suspended? What stopped it from moving forward? The King of Cups reversed and the Five of Swords. So the King of Cups reversed represents the twin who's emotionally unavailable. They're choosing to stay in a situation. Maybe they're choosing to stay in their karmic relationship. That prevents them from accessing their own true emotional depth and maturity. So this is the bound twin, the twin that's bound elsewhere. And it's operating from a place of fear and emotional dysfunction. That's one twin. And then here's maybe you. This is the other twin. So this is your survival state. This is the energy of spiritual superiority. You can see that he's kind of smiling, like, right? I won. So this is spiritual superiority. This is the shadow of the twin who's doing the work. It's the subconscious thought. Maybe you're not aware of it. The subconscious thought is like, I'm doing all the inner work. I'm the one waking up. I'm more evolved than this other twin. And I'm winning the ascension race, right? And they're losing, right? So this is the pain of your righteousness. Right? It's the pain of your righteousness. And it's like, I'm waiting for you to catch up to me. I'm the superior one. So you wait, you're feeling superior and you're suffering. And while they seem to be staying stuck, right? And then feeling judged and inadequate. Right, so so you're judging basically the twin, and this dynamic ensures that you never meet as equals. Right, with the twins, there can't be any hierarchy. Right, this is the cross the Sleeping Phoenix relationships now. The twins are really models for that, role models for that. They have to meet as equals, right, as equals, and this is, you're pushing them away when you do this. I'm better than you, right? I'm better than you. So this connection is suspended because on some level, you're attached to be, I'm the awakened one in the story. And they're trapped in the story of, I'm the asleep one. Do you see? So this creates this Five of Swords energy. So what's the most truthful next step for this connection, right? So the Six of Swords, get in your boat and move on, right? Get in your boat and move on, energetically move on. Get out of this twin flame narrative. And you see this is like really out on YouTube too. You see this narrative. One's awake, one's asleep. So this is the mental emotional withdrawal from the whole twin flame story, right? So this is a journey away from the shore, twin versus karmic, awaken versus asleep, separation versus union, the binary. The Six of Swords says that your true work is not to wait for them, or if you're the other twin, leave your karmic to achieve union. It's not about that. The work is to get your own mind and heart in a place of peace, profound peace, regardless of their choices, what the other twin is doing. It's the journey from the choppy, chaotic waters of the twin flame drama to the calm, still waters of your own sovereign soul. So this is the ultimate test of your internal work. Can you find your own peace without them? Can you be in peace without them? Right? Can you release the identity of the twin who's waiting? right? So the Six of Swords is quiet. It's a quiet, somber journey. It's not a celebration of I'm free, I'm free. It's a deep, mature acceptance that the only way to truly love this connection is to release your attachment to outcome. So you're rowing towards your own inner calm, and whether you ever decide to get in, right, if they want to get in their own boat, that's up to them. You can't make them get into the boat of the Six of Swords energy. Only you can do that for yourself. And then the ego card, what ego is made visible through this connection is this: what would other people think? Right? So this is the fear of what your family, friends, community would think. Right? Is the glue that's held the entire dynamic in place. What will other people think if I admit that I'm pining and thinking about this person so much, and they're so different than me, right? This forces you to keep the connection in secrecy. It's a secret. Or you frame it into an esoteric, acceptable way, like they're twin flames, so I put them in this box, right? This is the fear. What would my community think? What will they think if I've been single for so long, waiting for this maybe? This fuels the Five of Swords, spiritual pride, right? You need to believe that you're on a high-level mission, because the alternative is that you're just a single person waiting for someone who's unavailable. And this feels pathetic to the outside world, right? It's like looking outside in, looking at your life through somebody else's eyes. What will they think if I just give up and move on? This feels like failure to your spiritual community, maybe the ones that you've told that you're in a twin flame connection. Right? Like, oh, I'm betraying my divine counterpart if I just move in, right? So this connection forced this ego to come forward. How much power do I give to the external and others, right? Because I fear rejection and judgment. So to truly follow the path of the Six of Swords here, you must be willing to be judged. People are going to judge you. You have no control over how other people experience you. You have to learn to trust your soul. And yes, you'll be judged. Let the people judge you, right? They're usually just projecting their own crap onto you anyway, their own fears. You must be willing to be seen as the person who gave up on their twin, or the person who was foolish to wait in the first place. So liberation is on the other end of that fear. So the truest act of love for yourself and for this connection is to choose your own inner peace over the world's judgment of this story, right? And that will get you out of this Five of Wands energy. Okay. So that's what I have for this reading. And let me know how people are doing in this window of time. You know, everything is unfolding very, very quickly right now in 2026. So you want to make sure that you remain the happy chicken, right? You're the free range happy chicken, and knowing that just you in resonance with yourself and your innocence and your authenticity is tremendously helping this world. So don't listen to the ego that says you're small and powerless and you should just cling to anything that promises you survival and security. We're not here just to pay bills and survive and keep this body alive. We're here to do our soul purpose, right? Our soul purpose, our contribution. And that starts when you claim your authenticity and you claim your innocence and you speak and act from that place. Okay? So you can follow me. First, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and then you can ring the bell, be notified. I'm on Instagram daily and Telegram, and then the YouTube community tab as well for the posts, community posts. And I'm also on Rumble, which I just started. So I'm going to start uploading my videos to Rumble just in case something goes down with YouTube, that I have another place. And then I may do live streams in the future on Rumble, which is good for me because then I can do whatever I want in Rumble because it's free speech. And but I'll announce that, and of course, I have a free newsletter too. Okay, so I will see you in the next video, and have a great day. And Satnam Aloha. Bye bye.